Hey, what's up, Spencer? My name is everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. Honestly, I hadn't even planned on making a video about this fight. I hadn't even planned on watching this fight, but honestly, my roommates happened to have it on during the night that it was airing, and I ended up sitting down and watching it, and was then compelled to make a video because this is my channel, and I can do whatever I want, and I can talk about whatever I want. So that's what we're going to be going over today. But I am also not somebody who is really super into boxing. This is the first actual boxing fight that I've actually sat down and watched. So if you are here to try and get a professional in-depth analysis about the fight, sweetie, you are in the wrong place and you need to move on to somewhere else. Honestly, the most of boxing that I have ever watched was when I did my video about jumping, so that should really give you some context about where I am coming from with my knowledge of boxing. So if you're watching this video, I am going to assume that you already know who Jake Paul and Mike Tyson are. I mean, both of them are already really big name people. Jake Paul has millions of followers on YouTube. He's basically grown up on YouTube. I think he's been on for 10 years at this point. And Mike Tyson he's Mike fucking Tyson. I mean, but in the past few years, it seems like boxing has really gotten popular in the YouTube community for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but a lot of people who even I watch are very into doing boxing, such as Dr. Mike and the Odd Ones Out. I'm not sure why suddenly everybody wants to punch each other in the face and give each other concussions, but okay, I guess, you do you. And there's even actually been charity YouTube boxing events, which again, I don't fully understand because that seems a little bit antithetical that we're going to raise money for people in need, but also at the same time potentially give each other disabilities. I'm not sure where that's supposed to be coming from, but again, you do you. If that's really what you want to do, have fun with it, I guess. I really do feel like Jake Paul is the person who started this big boxing YouTube trend, because he was the first person that I really heard about who was doing boxing. He started doing it back in 2020. I'm sure that there were other YouTubers who probably were into boxing before that, but it seemed like Jake Paul was the person who really got popular with it when he started boxing in 2020 during the pandemic. And then it seemed like a lot of other YouTubers were following him after that. So because he did get so successful and so popular with his boxing, that is kind of how he has gotten to this point where he was like, yo, do you guys think that I could beat Mike Tyson?
I just came up with a crazy idea. Do you think I could beat Mike Tyson?
And I have seen quite a few people talking about this fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, even though I wasn't going to watch it. You know, on the internet, you see everybody's opinions about everything. So I have seen people talking about it. And definitely the funniest comment that I saw about it was that if Jake Paul lost to Mike Tyson, then that would mean that he got beat up by a 60-year-old. But if he beat Mike Tyson, then that would mean that he beat up a 60-year-old, which kind of feels like a lose-lose situation either way. Also, at the beginning of the fight, the announcer did say that Mike Tyson had not, boxed in well over 7,000 days, which, once you math it all out, is about the equivalent of 20 years. And I'm pretty sure that somebody who's, young and doing very well in a sport could probably definitely beat any professional who hasn't done their sport in 20 years. I don't think that that is as big of an accomplishment as Jake Paul really wants it to be. He just wants the name of Mike Tyson, you know? If he were to beat any other professional who has not been in their sport for the past 20 years, I don't think that he would be bragging about it as much as he is now. Like, he really is such a clout chaser. Whether he won or lost this fight, he just wanted to be like, yo, did you guys know that I fought Mike Tyson? Anyway, let's talk about the weigh-in that they do before the fights, because, like, that's something that they always do. I am aware of this, that before the fight, I'm not sure how long before, but a little while before the fight, they make both of the fighters weigh themselves, which I'm not really sure what the need for it when we're having like a celebrity type boxing match. It's like before, when you're doing weigh-ins, it's so that you can be in a certain weight class and fight people who are also in your weight class. But for a celebrity boxing event, I'm not 100% sure what the purpose of a weigh-in is. It's not like somebody is not going to weigh enough or weigh too much and suddenly they're not able to do it anymore. They're still going to do it. But I hadn't heard about this part before, but they did show a clip of it before the fight started where Jake Paul like came up onto the stage and then Mike Tyson slapped the absolute shit out of him in the weigh-in. Like, literally, Jake Paul, like, doesn't even, like, walk on stage like a normal person. He comes scrambling on there, like the little cloud animal that he is, the little raccoon man that he is. And then Mike Tyson just fucking decks the shit out of him, which, honestly, I am not surprised that either of those things happened at all. Because that's just the way that Jake is. Jake has been, like I said, on YouTube for a long time. Like probably 10 years at least. I would have to go and like actually look up, but I know that he's been on YouTube since he was under 18, since he was in high school at least, maybe even middle school. And so he has always had to be like on and having to like act in this really like silly, all out, over the top manner. So the fact that he just comes scrambling up on stage like a little rat is not surprising to me at all. His whole entire YouTube career has been based on him acting like a damn fool. That's really the only way that I can describe it. Like, remember when he and Logan went to Japan and all they were doing was acting like crazy, ridiculous. Like, they cannot act like normal people, just like adults. They always have to be doing some over-the-top crazy thing in order to get that engagement from their audience, from their mainly child audience, really. Where if you're not acting silly and crazy and just so like, whoa, then people aren't going to watch and aren't going to be interested. He's just been in that world for so long that I truly, honestly think that that is the only way that he knows how to conduct himself in front of a camera. Even though he's probably like my age, I am 30. He's probably close to 30 at this point. I don't think that he knows how to act just like a normal adult man at this point in his life, which is kind of sad, really. And I really think that this is one of the reasons why I'm not really a fan of Jake Paul. And I never really have been a fan of Jake Paul, and I probably never will be a fan of Jake Paul. I don't think that he necessarily does toxic masculinity, although quite a few of the things that he has said and done, you can absolutely fall into toxic masculinity. But I think what he does a lot is performative masculinity. He doesn't know how to just exist and have his accomplishments speak for themselves. And he is a very accomplished person. You know, he has, even though I don't like him, I have to recognize that he is a very accomplished person. He has millions of followers on YouTube. He probably makes more money in like 1 year than I will ever make in my entire life and stuff like that, which is an incredible feat. But he doesn't know how to let those things just speak for them. He always has to be doing this crazy stuff to like prove himself instead of being able to just exist as a person. Can you guys hear the cat running around. Like I moved into a new place and they have cats. And one of them is running all over the place. I don't know if you can hear her right now, but she pulling a Jake Paul. She doing a Jake Paul impression where she's scrambling around right now. Mike Tyson is what I would describe as being a real man, where, you know, man is a very subjective term. Being a real man is an incredibly subjective term, but he doesn't need to do this stuff where he's beating on his chest and he's yelling and he's like doing all of this stuff to like really like show that he's this manly man. He just is. He can just exist as Mike Tyson and knows that just being Mike Tyson is more than enough to prove himself. He has the confidence, he has the knowledge, he has the experience. He doesn't feel this need to go over the top and crazy and have a whole entire like posse and hype crowd and like show off his $1 million shorts and stuff like that. He can just exist as himself, and that is plenty. And like I said, Jake Paul could do that. Jake Paul has so many accomplishments. He has millions of subscribers on YouTube. He doesn't need to come out and be doing like all of this crazy stuff, doing this performance. He could just be himself, and that would be more than enough. But I don't think that he's confident enough in himself to be able to just be himself. I feel like because he has grown up on YouTube, he always feels like he has to be doing some sort of like crazy performance, or else he feels like he isn't good enough. He isn't giving people enough. He's been so brainwashed by the YouTube algorithm that he feels like he has to like constantly be doing all these silly things for engagement. And even when it is a professional fight like this, he still feels as though he has to perform and engage people, or else, oh God, they might click away at any second. We can't have that. And like I said before, I think that's really sad. That's kind of a sad way to live, that a person cannot just feel confident in existing as their normal self. It really is a product of him growing up on YouTube. I really do think that we are seeing the effects of growing up on the internet and what getting famous on the internet can do to somebody. But either way, I have talked more than enough about this. Let's talk about the actual fight. So when Jake Paul comes out, he's doing his performance masculinity stuff where he's coming out in this car that's painted like the ugliest colors that I have ever seen. And honestly, at one point, I thought that they were going to accidentally drive it off the stage because they were driving it kind of crooked for some reason. But Jake also has to have like a whole ass hype crowd. There's 20 people there. Logan was there and he looked really depressed for some reason. I don't know what's going on in his life, but he did not really look like he wanted to be there at all. So Jake gets in the ring and holy shit, he is wearing the ugliest fucking shorts that I have ever seen in my entire life. I'm pretty sure that the announcer said that he spent $1 million on these shorts, and whoever sold them to him for $1 million like really ripped him off, because wow, those little bead things that were hanging off of them and stuff looked as though he got it from Party City. And I really feel like I could probably make those same shorts with just $30 and a bedazzler. And then Mike comes out and he is himself. He doesn't need a whole entire crowd. He doesn't need a car. He literally just walks out as himself and he is fine. And everybody's cheering for him. I'm pretty sure that people were booing for Jake Paul when he came out, which I was a little surprised about because he does have so many followers on YouTube. But I guess a large majority of the people who would be going to a boxing event would be adults and would probably know Mike Tyson more, whereas Jake Paul's audience is primarily children. So I don't think that they're going to be at this boxing event. So I was actually low-key surprised that Jake Paul was getting booed as much as he was. And obviously Mike Tyson was getting a lot of cheers. A lot of people were really supporting him. I mean, People love Mike Tyson. What's not there to love? Don't answer that for me. I'm sure everybody has some sort of controversy that they've done. Don't I don't feel like bringing up a Mike Tyson controversy right now. So apparently the way that boxing works is that there are 8 2-minute rounds and a little break in between each round. And every single round, you get scored by 3 judges based on a variety of factors. Do not ask me what those factors are. I do not know. Like I said, I know jack shit about boxing. Scoring, have no idea how that stuff works. So Mike Tyson won the first 2 rounds and then technically lost the next 6. And the reason why I say technically is because there was a lot of opportunities that Mike Tyson could have taken advantage of during the fight that for some reason he just didn't. I mean, Mike Tyson has been fighting for longer than Jake Paul has even been alive. So he has a large amount of experience. He knows what he's doing. And as the fight is going on, you can kind of really see that the difference in the way that they fight between Jake, who has barely even been boxing for 4 years, and Mike Tyson, who has been boxing for, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 years now. And the big difference that you can see is that Jake Paul is constantly just swinging, just throwing so many punches all the time, constantly. A lot of them aren't even connecting, but he's just throwing. Whereas Mike Tyson is just kind of staying there, really keeping his hands up, really blocking himself and stuff. And one of the consequences of Jake throwing so many punches so constantly is that he definitely got tired. He was really wearing himself out. He was dropping his hands a lot. He was really like not blocking. And those were the times in which Mike Tyson could have really jumped on those openings and really started wailing on him. But for some reason, he didn't. Like, I really thought that because Mike Tyson has so much experience in doing this, that what his strategy was that he was just going to block and really let Jake wear himself out in like the first 6 rounds. And then in the last 2, he was really going to come out and start throwing and really like getting a bunch of points and really like beating on Jake and stuff like that. Like, I really thought that that's where it was going to come from, but for some reason, he never really did that. Like, Mike Tyson threw like so few punches in the entire fight, and Jake was throwing like 200 per round. Like, not even throughout the entire fight. It was like 200 punches per round that he was throwing. And I'm not sure why Tyson like wasn't really, it seems like he didn't really care about the fight at all, and I'm not really sure about that, and I'm really interested to learn why. It kind of just felt at some points that he was just there and just wanted to get through this and did not care about what the outcome was, which is kind of weird because if you're going to do this fight after 20 years of not fighting, why would you not want to put effort into it? I don't know. Maybe it's just that he was, I don't know. I don't want to say that he's too old, especially because like 60 isn't really that old, but it really did seem like he didn't care whether he won or lost or anything. He didn't care enough to put in effort into the fight, is how it felt to me. And like I said before, I don't know anything about boxing, so like, I don't know. So at the end of the fight, we got to see Jake's wife, who I know just gave birth to a baby, and she looks so good for having just given birth. Like, you go, queen. You are amazing. Great job. I am really sorry that your husband is so shit, that he was using you being in labor to promote his mold brand. Like, I cannot believe, if my husband tried to pull something like that, let me just say I would not have a husband anymore. So I am sorry that he did that, but also she didn't seem bothered by him doing that. That was weird, but either way, you looking great, girl. Good for you. I think my favorite part of this fight is when the announcer asks everybody to leave the ring so that they can announce who won, and then literally nobody does.
Can we please clear the ring, ladies and gentlemen? Can we please clear the ring, ladies and gentlemen?
So they announced that Jake Paul won the fight, and the crowd did not seem very happy about it. Again, it seems like quite a few people were booing him. People did not seem to be cheering for him, despite him winning.
Declaring your winner by unanimous decision, Jake El Gallo Paul!
And the crowd here wondering what to make of it all.
I just think that that's hilarious. I'm sorry. That's really funny that you can win a fight and then the crowd still is being like, boo, boo. I feel like a lot of people showed up because they wanted to see Mike Tyson just beat Jake Paul's ass, and they were very disappointed when that did not happen. I know that's what I wanted. Well, my roommates wanted. So I feel like that's kind of what the crowd wanted too, and they were disappointed that that did not happen. But I do have to admit, Jake Paul did do one thing right, and that was he did acknowledge and thank all of the doctors and the nurses who are working in the ER and the truckers that move everything that we have in our lives around our country and the farmers who grow our food and all of that stuff. So like, great job, Jake. You did one thing good. Can you please now stop selling mold to our children? That would be fabulous. Please and thank you. All right, so that was kind of the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. Did you watch it? It's on Netflix. It's streaming live on Netflix. That was an interesting thing to see. We're having a new era in streaming, I guess. Either way, what do you think about the fact that Jake Paul won? Are you happy about it? Are you a Jake Paul lover and you are thrilled that he won? Or are you like all of the people in the crowd and you are feeling bad that Mike Tyson lost? Do you also feel like he kind of didn't put much effort into it? What do you think was going on with that? I want to know, and your thoughts in the comments down below. I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that he's 60 years old and hasn't fought in 20 years. That his entire goal was to just get through it. But again, what would be the point of that? Wouldn't you want to put like as much effort into it as, I don't know. Either way, if you got to the end of this video, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And I hope that you stay safe. But besides that, have a fantastic day. Bye.